You took 2 neighbors. All right, that just spice it up a little. All right, here we go. So I want to sing to you a song, and but first I want to let you know that my father, thank God, is alive and well. If you know the song, feel free to sing along. If you do not, please do not. Okay. I wasn't there that morning when my father passed away. He's alive and well. I didn't get to tell him all the things I had to say. I think I caught his spirit later that same year. I'm sure I heard his echo in my baby's newborn tears. I just wish I could have told him in the living years. Anyone know it? Raise your hand if you haven't heard it. Say it loud, say it loud, say it clear, oh, say it clear. You can listen as well as you hear. Here comes the main part. Listen carefully. Listen, it's too late.
It's too late.
When we die,
When we die,
to admit we don't see ojo el ojo. That's eye to eye. Eye to eye. Okay. You've heard this before? 106.7 Light FM. That's if you're from New York, right? It's a new song written in 1989 by Mike and the Mechanics. Mike and the Mechanics, he used to be part of Project Genesis. And this is a beautiful song. The only part is that it's really not that beautiful, right? How many times do we listen to a song but we're not really listening to the words, yeah? You're like, Shooby-Dooby, and he killed his father. Right? It's like messed up, right? Now I want to tell you, I'm going to apologize right now before we even get started. I once gave this class over, and there was a guy in the front of the room who looked really, really dazed. And, well, he was high, but the guy next to him, also looked really dazed. And he lived this story. He was on an airplane on the way to go see his father who was dying. And he missed it. His father passed away before he got there, right? Very, very sad. But I want to know, what do you think is the message? What is Rabbi Mike trying to get across here? What's the point? And I know that maybe if you've been to university, college, and there's something called a lecturer. That's not me. When I ask him, actually want a response. Yeah, what do you say?
You let people know you love them.
You let people know you love them. If you listen to the words, it's too late when we die to admit we don't see eye to eye. Which doesn't mean we necessarily love each other. But we could, right? Like my sister and I always do. We agree to disagree. Yeah? That's what, but at least what else? Give me another message. That's a nice one. At least you all agree. I like that. That's unity. A third one. Yeah.
to sort of realize what you have before it's too late, and to, I don't know, make peace and get along.
Okay, realize what you have before it's too late. Good. I want to, yeah?
To keep the communication lines open.
Communication, very good, right? Idea is what? To communicate, to keep the lines open, to actually talk. Say what you want to say, but actually say it, yeah? So I want to back up this statement with a statement someone else said, and that name was Solomon. Anyone heard of King Solomon before? Shlomo HaMelech. They say he was the wisest of all men. He wrote a book. It was a bestseller. It's called Ecclesiastes. Okay? And if you take a look in Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 2, and I quote, comes along Solomon, he says, who here does not speak Hebrew at all? I do not speak Hebrew. You don't? What does the word tov mean? Good. Oh, so you speak Hebrew. Okay, who doesn't at all? Not at all. Not at all? What does the word tov mean? Let's try it. What does tov mean? Good. What does tov mean? Good. Anyone else? Not at all. I don't speak Hebrew at all. Now everyone's like scared. What does it mean? Bayit. You know what bayit is? Good. Now we're talking. Okay. So what's lechet? What does lechet mean? To go or to walk. Very good. So the verse says in Solomon chapter 7 verse 2, tov, good, lechet, el beit, bayit, house, avel, of mourner. It is good or better to go to a house of mourning, milechet, than going el beit mishteh, A house of drinking. Or a party, a wedding. It is better to go to a house of mourning than it is to go to a party. Everybody agrees? Yes, it depends what they're serving, right? Alright, so what does that mean? Solomon's saying it. So what does it mean when he says it's better to go to a house of mourning than a house of a party?
More respectful.
More respectful, okay. What else? Yeah.
Contribute more to the mourning.
Say again.
You can contribute more.
What if the wedding, the people don't have any friends? So good, you have a mitzvah. You have an idea to go to a wedding and to bring joy to the couple. So what about, bless you? So what about that? Come on, people, speak up. Why is it better, possibly? Yeah?
You can learn a lot there.
You can learn a lot at a wedding.
Yeah, but not about something that someone might forget soon.
Person's secrets.
Okay, a person's secrets.
Once a person's gone, they can't do anything for you.
That's correct. Therefore,
Well, if you go to a house of, like a wedding, you're doing it, and you might have some other alternative, other
motives.
other reason, other motives, because that person can still do something for you, but once they're gone, they're gone. So it's like true compassion.
Okay, this is a true statement. Give me more.
But it's also just not as easier to go to a wedding.
It's easier to go to a wedding. Okay, last one, Bli Neder.
It makes you think about life.
Ouch. So listen to this. When Solomon says it's better to go to a house, has anyone here never been to a house of mourning or a cemetery? Never. Okay, so I'm assuming that means you all have, or you don't speak English. Alright, so you've all been there before. What happens when you go to a house of mourning? What happens when you go there? What happens? Okay, some might want to do that. But what happens to you? You start to think about mortality, right? And this, by the way, is Solomon. The end of the verse. What does he say? Tov lechet beit Eva melechet beit Mishnah. Why? He says, "Sof kol adam finito de Torah hente mundo." This is the end of all man. Ve'achai yiten aliba. The live person will place it into his heart. Do you hear that? It is better to go to a house of mourning than a house of a party because it's the end of all man. And we start to think. So therefore, what do we got? When you experience a little death, you start to think about life. Get it? Now let me ask you, that really depends on a lot of factors. What's one of the first questions that people ask when they hear, somebody died? What How old? How? Heart attack. How old were they? Let's say, okay, I want to tell you a story. There's somebody who died. I want to tell you another one now. Okay, it goes like this. There's somebody who died. He was 85 years old. What do you say?
All right.
Yeah.
Nice life.
Good life.
Good life? He had a bad life. Okay, yeah. Somebody died 85 years old. Okay, that's an interesting reaction. How about this one? Somebody died.
How sad?
How sad? That's what you say? Somebody died. How old? They were 14.
What did they accomplish?
Okay, so we have a couple more reactions. The rest of you, I guess, are stone cold. But the idea is, what happens when you hear somebody dying when they're 85, or you hear that they were 14? Is there any difference in a reaction? Right? 85, it's like, oh, let's go to lunch. 14, it's like, ooh, let's go to lunch. At least there's some gap there. Why is it that we are more impacted by when we hear someone who's 14, or let's say 40, 25? Someone 25, we also have a similar reaction. Why by 25 do we feel more than 85?
They didn't get to experience as much as the person.
Is it possible that someone at 25 experiences more than someone at 85?
Yes.
Is it possible someone accomplishes more at 25 than at 85? Nowadays, who accomplishes more, 25-year-olds or 85-year-olds?
Zuckerberg.
Younger-birth?
No, Zuckerberg.
Zuckerberg, right? He is a person. That's correct. Who else? Right? You get the idea? Idea is what do we see? It's not necessarily so, but I'll tell you what the real idea is. The reason why we are more affected by 25 than 85 is because most of us in the room, I'm not looking at anyone, most of us in the room are closer to 25 than we are to 85. Is that correct? I taught this somewhere else, and I had to change the numbers. 150. The guy was 150 when he died, right? Most of us are closer. So what's the idea? The idea is we live vicariously through something. And the word you use, what's your name? Michael's. Well, Michael said before, is really one of the main points. You know, when I was growing up, like a year ago, I always heard the following statement. People used to always say, kids, they think they're invincible. Right? Has anyone heard that before? Even without the southern accent, just straight up. Kids, they think they're invincible. And I remember when I heard this, I used to think it's not true. I know I'm going to die, right? I'm not going to live forever, right? Now, it could be I'll live to like 200, but I know I'm going to die. But then I started to think a little more, and I realized that maybe we do think this, a little. Where are you from? Do you like it there?
I do.
How long have you been there?
My entire life.
Is it your first time in Israel?
No, fourth.
Whoa. Do you like Israel?
I love it.
Do you love Israel?
Yeah.
Do you want to move here?
Not at the moment.
In like 5 years, do you think you'll be living in Philly or in Israel?
I really don't know.
Well, which one do you think?
Probably neither. Probably somewhere else, maybe.
Probably somewhere else? Okay, what's your name?
Samira.
Zamira. Is anybody saw what Zamira just did? She thinks she's invincible. What should you have said when I said, where will you be living in 5 years? You should have said, I don't know. I might be dead. I think I didn't say it. Yeah, my wife says, take out the garbage. You go, I might not make it. She goes, I won't make it outside with the garbage. It stinks, yeah? What's it? Oh my gosh, I forgot the garbage in the car. Oh God. Okay, that's a true story. That's a true story. Wife's going to kill me. Okay, the point is what? It doesn't really work. Okay, but the point of what I'm saying is, right, we all have this thought. We think we're going to be here tomorrow, right? We think we're going to, and it's a wonderful thought, and you should think that, right? You should not be thinking, I don't know. That shouldn't be on your mind. But what happens when we think that? When we think that, we don't have an opportunity to do something which is so crucial. What's that?
Be thankful for tomorrow.
YOLO.
Live
If a person doesn't think about the fact that he might not be here tomorrow, you don't take advantage of today. When a person goes to a house of mourning, what happens? What goes on in here? We start to think, oh my goodness, there's actually an end. It could be it's over. I got to change myself. I got to work. When? Ahora. Where? In el mundo aquí. I got to get cracking and lacking, people. Like there's no tobacco because I might not be here tomorrow. I might not be here. So you got to start working. You got to start changing right now. We don't know. You'll never know what's going to be. Therefore, says Solomon, it's better to go to a house of mourning than a house of a party. Because a house of mourning, you start to think. House of a party, we're not thinking. And even at a wedding, it's just like we're just being. Yeah? House of mourning, when you experience death, you think of life. Now I want to tell you a very sad story, just to keep the day depressing. A rabbi of mine was driving down the road somewhere in middle America, Omaha, and he saw on the side of the road, he saw a tombstone. Unfortunately not uncommon, someone who passed away while they were driving, they got killed in a car accident, and there was a tombstone there, a monument. The thing that caught his eye though as he drove by was he took like a double take. There was an arm that was coming out of the tombstone. An arm. For those who are wondering if it's real, for you, yes. For the rest of you, it's stone. And this rabbi, he couldn't pass it up. He had to see what that was. He had to see what it was. So he goes around, comes out. Sure enough, there it is. There's the tombstone. Walks over to the tombstone. He sees the following. There's the tombstone. There's the arm. Coming out in the arm, in the hand of the arm, was a cell phone. A real cell phone. It's a true story. Later I'll make some up. True cell phone. A real cell phone. And it says on the tombstone, here lies so-and-so with his most beloved possession. Is that sad, people? Can anyone hear anyone else up like that? Here's someone so with his most beloved iPhone 4S, iPad 2, BlackBerry, out of business almost. Can anyone someone else like that? They're always involved in these things. I want to tell you, I want to do an exercise with you. And if you've done this before, that'd be good. And that is, imagine for a moment that you had the opportunity, which you do, that you had the opportunity to write your own tombstone. What would you have written there?
Go away.
What'd you say?
Go away. What's your
You guys don't want anything there. Stay here. What would you have written there?
About John, you mean, or us?
Who's John? What would you want written on John's tombstone?
A man of great sagacity.
John, I'm trying to get rid of you here. All right, so I say, everyone, now on your tombstone, come on, people. Now, what would you want? Now, what's going to be written there? Essentially, what's going to be? Was a heck of a bowler who knew how to hold his liquor. People, what's going to be written there?
Like simple. I don't very simple, like on Jewish tombstones. Like my grandma says, "Hon ishtar, yimenu, saktinu, ve'hayikah," or something.
Okay, good. Now, but let's think about it like this. What's going to be written there? Essentially, whoever's paying for it, whatever they want. So you better make sure they like you, right? Because stone is stone. But let's be real. What's going to be written there essentially is the way that people summed you up. Does everybody get that? The way that you are summed up is what's going to be written there. Now, how do people sum you up? If you want to know an honest answer, sometimes we have a mentality in our head that we think we're living our lives a certain way. But the reality is other people don't see it that way, right? If you want to know how people perceive what you are, who do you ask?
Someone who's your enemy.
They'll lie to you.
Family.
Lie. Lie.
God.
Your mom.
Not God.
Your mother.
Lie.
Yourself.
Come on, people.
Child.
Say it. You said it over here. That is a child. Does everybody understand that? Kids are the most honest thing on the face. They say exactly what they're thinking, right? This is why I told my wife, never ask our kid, does this dress make me look fat? Because then your kid will just say, no, mommy. Your fat makes you look fat. And they're very honest. So I decided I want to take it seriously. I want to know what's important to me. So I went to my daughter. Let's call her Nava. Because that's her name. So I came to her and I said, Nava, at the time she was 4.5. She just turned out 21. She was 4.5 and I went to her. I'm kidding, 7.5. Whoa, he looks young. Anyway, I'm 7.5. And I came over and I said, she's 4 years old. I said, Nava, what's important to me? I know what she's going to say. You know, Torah. You know, God. I know. I'm a little embarrassed to say this, but I've gotten used to it by now. Without flinching, she goes, the bathroom. And she walks away like nothing ever happened. I was like, I'm like stuck there like the bathroom? Like, can you imagine? Here lies Friedman. Love the can. You can't believe this. Why would she say that? I'm thinking, why would she say that? And then I realized, why would she say it? It's obvious. See, because I live in a place called French Hills. Anybody know what that is? Givat Sarfati, Mount Scopus, you heard of? Hebrew University? Texas, anyone heard of Texas? Nowhere near Texas. Anyway, there's one. It's about 3.5 miles, about 5 kilometers. How do I get in? I come here every day. I get here by bike. Not like by bike, you know, but by bicycle. Yeah? And it's about a 20-minute bike. This morning was actually 19. I did 19 minutes. Now, you've noticed probably that Jerusalem is not flat. I don't know if you've noticed that, right? But there's a couple of hills, 1 or 2, or all of them, yeah? And you bike up and down, up and down. At the end of the day, I come home, what do you think I have to go to the bathroom? So what does she see? So that must be the most, no, I've stopped going since. But the idea is, understand, that you will be summed up the way you lived your life, not necessarily the way that you wanted to live your life. And therefore, my friends, we need to ask ourselves, if you don't have kids, ask someone else's kids. They'll be glad to tell you. Yeah? And that is, what are we? Right? What sums us up? What's important to us? Does it match up to what we want it to be? The only way, I want to tell you, it's a machaya. It's a breath of fresh air that you're speaking to. You guys look a little older than younger. What I mean by that is you look older than, let's say, 17, 16. And sometimes you teach people who are younger, it's harder to get this point across. If you are getting in that age, it's fantastic. When you're a little older, you can appreciate this a little more. A little more subtle, you can get the point that, well, we got to change. I want to tell you, there's someone who had the opportunity to do this very famous story. If you know where I'm going with this, don't be that guy. Okay? Everyone knows who that guy is? That guy. I know the end already. Right? We hate you. Keep it down. Yeah? The guy in the back of the theater. Oh, he's going to die. Right? Thank you. Yeah? So go like this. If you know where I'm going, don't be that guy. Here we go. There was a man by the name of Alfred. Give me a last name. Don't say it. Someone by the name of Alfred. Give me a last name. Hitchcock. Give me another one. Who said it? That was Albert, but it's all right. You know what? If you happen to be that guy in another way, there's always someone who says that. The next one is Moses? Alfred Moses? Alfred Nobel. Someone by the name of Alfred Nobel. Now, Alfred Nobel is famously known for, don't be that guy if you're going to say the other thing. What is he famously known for? What's a Nobel? the Nobel Prize, the Peace Prize, or whatever, the number of different prizes. But he was also known for something else. If you know, raise your hand, but don't say. Okay, so he did a decent job, but not from most of you. Okay, good. And that is as follows. Let's be honest here. How many people in this room never knew that the Nobel Prize is named after someone named Alfred Nobel? You didn't know that. Okay, one honest, 2, 3, now more hands are coming up. Okay, we're embarrassed. I'll take it personally. I didn't know that. I didn't know that until I knew it. Alfred Nobel, though, created the Nobel Prize. But he was also known for something else. What's that he created? Dynamite. That's correct. I'll tell you once, I'll tell you twice. Dynamite. Yeah? Now he goes that he created something called TNT. And he had a brother by the name of Ludwig. Don't look at me, I didn't name him. Unless you have the name, it's a wonderful, wonderful name. Ludwig Nobel, the year was 1888. And Ludwig Nobel died. The French papers made a mistake. They thought it was Alfred Nobel. Who speaks French? Anybody can make it up? Okay. French papers made a mistake, 1888. Here are the headlines. Le Marchand de la Mort est mort. Anyone?
The something of the world is dead.
Le Marchand,
Oh, the
merchant of death
Oh.
is dead. Alfred Nobel dies at the age of so-and-so. Now, Alfred Nobel, you can imagine the shock. He wakes up, picks up the paper, sees the headlines, goes, what? He was a smart guy, right? He realized it was a mistake. And then he started to think, is this the way the world is going to remember me? They're going to remember me as a merchant to death? I want to change this. So what did he do? He created something called the Nobel Prize. Anyone can go ahead and do something which will better society in the world. Not only do you get a prestigious honor, you also get $1 million. Now that's pretty good. We're not getting into your apolitical. We're not getting into who deserves it or not, Obama. The idea is what we're saying very simply, is that he changed his whole persona. He's, for most of you, he's not known as the creator of dynamite. He's known as a Nobel Prize. And we all have that opportunity. We are right now writing the article. We are writing the articles of our life right this second. And the question is, are we going to do it or not? It's better to go to a house of mourning, a house of a party. Because a house of a mourning, we start thinking about life. Maybe we start to change. When? Now. Let's take it a step further, shall we? Let's. Go a bit deeper. And I want to tell you a little story. And this again, I apologize for such a low day, but we'll raise it a little. I have a friend. Yes, one. And he had a brother. Unfortunately, I say the word had a brother. His brother was 26 years old, was married, had 2 little girls, went to sleep, and unfortunately did not wake up in the morning. Should be married for his soul. And I want to tell you, at the time, I was thinking, oh my goodness, this is so sad. I've never met this guy before. I knew his brother, but I didn't know him. I was thinking, this is so sad. This is so crazy. Mortality. I got to start changing my life. I got to start waking up. I wasn't far from that age. I had 2 little girls. I got to start cracking like, and I got to start shifting, right? And what they did is they flew the body. The body was in New York, passed away in New York. They flew the body to Israel. Has anybody ever been to a funeral in Israel and in America? Both? Both? Okay, what's the difference between Israel and America?
You put the body in the sheet and on the coffin.
I was going to go with language, but we didn't know that. Right, that's what? That there's no coffin, there's no casket. In Israel, there's no casket. They bury the body directly in the ground. And they cover it with what's called tachrich and burial shrouds. But they put the body directly in the ground. I remember the first time I saw this, I was 17 years old. My grandfather passed away. I came to the funeral. And they bring out on the stretcher, like, you don't see the body, you see the shape, though. I'm like, you forgot something. Right? In every family, there's that, the guy, forgot the ring, forgot the casket, Some say it's the same thing. Right, but the idea is what? The idea is that I was like, shh. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. I realize this is supposed to be like this. Pretty freaky. But this is what happens. And they have a podium. They have eulogies. There's a podium. There's a flat rock in the middle of the room, flat stone. People stand around. They put the body on that stone as they say the eulogies. And there I was standing there. There was a podium, person speaking, the flat stone, the body, my friend, all the people. And I was standing with the people, standing a little bit closer to my friend to give him comfort, but not, to be on top, just to be around. And they start speaking about this boy. They go, Moshe, what an incredible guy. A guy of chesed. What does chesed mean? Kindness, of giving, of growth, of chesed. What does chesed mean? What does tov mean? Of chesed, of kindness, of growth, of giving, of chesed, and everybody said the same thing. And you could tell it was real. A mutual friend of ours got up, his name is Yoni, and he said that one time he needed to borrow $20,000, and this boy found out about it. He said, he just got married. He said, I'll lend you the money. Return it or I'll kill you, but I'll lend you the money. And on the spot of kindness, he had a book called The Mesil Shishar, The Path of the Just. It's a book written a great sage in the 1700s by Moshe Chaim Luzzatto about growth, how a person reach the highest of levels. He had one in his car, one in his office, one in his house, a man of chesed, of kindness, of giving. And I'm thinking, wow, I got to wake up. This is crazy. And then I started to think, he sounds so great. I wish I could have met him. Has anyone here ever had a time in your life where you heard about someone, dead or alive, and you said, I wish I could meet them? Who has someone like that? Someone who's alive today that you wish you could meet. Does anyone have that? You have someone? Someone alive today you want to meet? Would you care to share? Sharing is caring. Name 4. Okay, just one. Give me one person. What? Gene Wilder. You want to meet him? So why don't you meet him?
Hard.
How hard?
I don't know.
Have you tried? Why not? Are you going to try now?
Not anymore.
That's very inspirational. All right, so go to Smiles, yeah? If there's someone you want to meet, so meet them. Meet them. Right, just go ahead and meet it. Not beat it, meet it. Just go meet them. You have the opportunity. If you want to meet someone, meet them. If you never tried, so you're never going to be able to have the opportunity. What about a person who passed away? Anyone heard someone like that? Who's that?
My friend's husband passed away.
And you heard about him.
I heard amazing things about him. And,
Wish you could have met him.
totally wish.
Sad, we lost that opportunity. And I'm looking, I wish I could have met the guy. He sounds like such an amazing guy. He sounds so great. He sounds so incredible. And then it hit me so hard. I thought to myself, wait a minute. What about my friend who's standing right in front of me, who's alive and well? He's also an amazing guy. And what about him? He's also incredible. Does that make you feel good? I didn't even know you. And what about her? She's also amazing. What about him? He's also... And I started to think to myself, why is it that we wait for one of 3 possibilities? We wait until either someone is dead, almost dead, or maybe dead, before we see how beautiful they are. Does everybody hear that? I'm not saying we never see it, we do. And there are individuals, but it's generally speaking. Why you gotta be so general? Because generally, that's how it is. Generally speaking, we don't say, why? When you're dead, almost dead, and maybe dead, I'm there for you. If you are alive though, back off. Right? I want to tell you, I want to bring up this story, okay? I volunteer here in Israel. I used to, I don't have so much time anymore, but I used to volunteer for something called Magen David Adom. Anybody familiar with what that is? MADA, the ambulance group here. And I used to run around Yerushalayim night times, 11 to 7, 11 p.m. to 7. I know you guys have 12-hour shifts, doing that, 8, I got it. We used to run around saving people that I've never met in my life. And there's a good chance I'll never meet them again. But like when you go to the grocery store, has anybody been to the grocery store, question mark? 1, okay. So the rest will live vicariously through you. You know when you're in line at the grocery store and somebody tries to pull the move? Everyone knows what the move is? Yeah, you're not going to see me. I have to show you this. Good watch. Yeah. Here's the move. The move is like this. It's a 4-step process. Number 1 is pivot. Okay, it's like this. The guy does a pivot. Okay? Pivot, just a pivot. And then you have shift. So it's like this. It's pivot, shift, slide, and cut. You're standing in line and someone does the move and they cut you, right? So in America they're a little more subtle, in Israel it's just right, and stuff like that. But the idea nonetheless is I'm standing in line and someone, you know what I'm talking about, right? And you stand there and you're like, excuse me, I was here, and you're like, I'm just looking at the gum. Right? You're like, oh, okay. And then they're like, well, I'm already here. Kids, bring in the cards, right? So we're like 5 cards right in front of you. Like, what's going on here? So I'm in the grocery store, and somebody pulls the move. I go, you're not going to shift on me. Someone misunderstood what I said. It's going to go wrong, right? And the guy, what happens? He goes, I see it. I saw it a mile away. He goes, shift, pivot, slide. As he's in his slide, I go, oh, no, you didn't. And I'm like, as I get to the in front, I'm empty. The guy has a cardiac arrest. He drops down right in front of me. That's a heart attack. Oh my goodness. So I get down, I'm like CPR, right? I'm like, staying alive, right? And I'm trying to get this right. Has anyone ever done CPR before? On a person. Not little Annie. Little Annie, unfortunately, has still not yet made it. You've done it before? Okay. You've done it? Now, CPR, cardiopulmonary resuscitation, okay? Or in Hebrew, it's cardiopulmonary resuscitation. I want you to throw these, that's hachia. But anyway, there you go, as follows, yeah? You've done it before?
On a real person?
Yes, real person.
Yeah, I have.
You've done a real person? Okay. The answer is not 32. I'm just letting you know. It's not 32. Question is, what is the optimal amount of compressions per minute you want to pull off?
30.
The answer is not 30.
The answer is all that stuff is out the window.
It's 120, isn't it?
Closer. The answer is 100. The optimal amount of compressions per minute, unless the AHA changed something in the past couple of months, the optimal amount of compressions per minute is 100. That means this. These are compressions. The optimal amount of pushes, yeah? You want to do 100. Why? Average adult heart rate is 60 to 100. We're going to try to get optimal, so therefore we do 100. And they did a study. The song Staying Alive is 96 beats per minute. So if you sing that song as you do it, you're likely to stay on beat. Right? So he goes, the problem is when you get to the part, staying alive. So skip that part, right? If you do that, you're going to have to be stopped with another one bites dust. Boom, boom. And by the way, that's also 96 beats per minute. Okay, the point is what, yeah? So the guy's on the floor, right? He pulled the shift move. The guy slid, and then he went down, baby. He went down. I'm like, staying alive, staying alive. I was like, are you sick? I'm like, back off, right? And what happens, the guy opens his eyes. I'm like, thank God. Now, if you don't mind. There's a lot. Yeah? Now, who knows what? Obviously, I'm kidding. I don't do this too often. Right? But you understand that we do this, right? You come in line. If you're dead, fuck a shot. Please. Please, by all means. No, seriously, move. Right? But if a person's alive, get in the back of the line. Why do we do that? Why do we wait until somebody is either dead, almost dead, or maybe dead before we see how beautiful they are? Give me an answer, people. That's correct. Why?
Why? Because we live in a society where we're always thinking about what we don't have and not appreciating what we already have around us.
Okay, good. Not good. Terrible. But that is an answer which can work. Yeah? What else? Yeah.
Because we think ourselves and people are invincible and that we take for granted that they'll be alive.
We think they'll be here tomorrow, right? In which case, we'll save ourselves some time. I want to be specific with my question. It's like this. You see someone doing something amazing. You see someone doing something which really is inspiring, which really is great. And you want to tell them they're great, but we don't. They're right in front of you. You have time. You're thinking about it, but we don't turn to them and say, you're fantastic. That's really great what you did. I'm so impressed with you. What's holding us back from doing that? Yeah?
Like your ego, pride, rejection.
Why do you get to get personal? You're saying one's ego, pride. I hear that. Okay, yeah? So the idea goes like this. Yeah, very, very straightforward. I believe it's like this. Is anyone here talented? One. Well, what are you good at?
Art.
Interesting. What kind of art? I've learned to ask that question because I can do a lot of things. Okay? You're a good sculptor?
Yeah.
Now the truth is you seem like a nice guy, so I don't know if this is going to work, but we'll try.
Okay.
What's your name?
Ben.
Ben. Ben, let's say you and I are walking together. Okay? Ben and I. And I got another one with us, just so we don't get confused. Permanent marker. Okay, so we have as follows. Ben and I are walking together. Okay? I is Gavrilo. Okay? Gav. And we got someone else with us, Steve. Got it? Ben, you, me, and Steve. Now, you don't know Steve. I know Steve, and I know you, but you don't know Steve. Is that clear?
I know you.
You know me.
I don't know Steve.
That's correct.
You know me.
That's right.
Steve knows me.
Well,
No.
you almost had it. You almost had it. Anyway, the idea is what? You know me. I know both of you. You don't know each other. All right, so what happens? We're walking together, and Steve turns to me as we're walking and says, I know this guy, Bob, who's an amazing sculptor. What goes through your mind?
Want to see his work.
Why?
To get
To learn from and grow.
to get inspiration.
To get inspiration. Yeah? So either you're being a nice guy or you actually are. But the idea, so then that's why it wasn't going to work. But what goes through some people's minds? Let's see what this guy's got. Now let's say we get it, right? We got a little game on action. You got your two mud piles or whatever you do there. That doesn't sound good. Begin! Wrestle. Okay, so what happens then? Yeah, your two things, and you both sculpture, and you lose by 1 point. Not you, because you're too nice. How would one normally feel? How would one normally feel?
Cheated at.
Right, not too well cheated. There was a problem with that circle thing. It wasn't circle, it was like a little off. Let's do it again, yeah? What happens if you lose again by 1 point? How do you feel? Again, not too good. How about the following? Are you familiar with the work of, with art, with sculptors?
Relatively.
Not too much. Who's the greatest sculptor in the world? The answer is God, but all right. Let's say you had someone who you looked up to.
I like Rodin's work.
Rodin. Is he better than you?
Yes.
So if you had an opportunity, I like the pause there. It's hard for me. Yes. Okay, but let's say you go and you get an opportunity to sculpt against Rodin, and Rodin beats you by 50 points, however they judge it. How do you feel?
I feel awesome.
You feel awesome, right? You had the opportunity to play against Rodin. I don't know if you play with sculpting, but you got to sculpt against him. Now, would you tell people about it?
Yes.
You'd be like, I sculpted against Rodin and I lost. You got no problem. What's the difference? What's the difference between Rodin and Bob? What's the difference? Answer is one word, and someone said it before, it's subject either a C, a K, or a Q, depending if you know how to spell. And that is competition. Because you versus Bob, game on. Yeah? We got a competition going on. But you versus Rodin, not only are you not in the same libro, right? You're not on the same page, you're not even in the same book, you're not in the same world. Instead, it's totally different, in which case, there's no competition. You can put this in anything. A person's a really good chef. A person goes, I make the most delicious spinach quiche you will ever taste. This is a true story. I was looking at a cookbook, and I said to my wife, I'm like, what's quiche? She goes, do you mean quiche? Right? And let's be honest, half of you still don't know what I'm talking about, right? And yes, right? There's something called a quiche, yeah? And spinach, right? So I had spinach quiche. Obviously, yeah, do you put basil? I put basil in mine, yeah? Mine's whatever, I'm just saying, yeah? We have this thing going on. I believe that there's an unspoken competition in the world. Sometimes it's very spoken. There's a competition that's going on. And therefore, what does that do to us? That stops us from having the ability to be able to see the beauty in other people. That doesn't mean we don't see it, by the way. We see it. But we can't say it, right? But we can't say, come on, baby, bring it. Come on. What you got? Because you're like, that was nothing. I am much better than that, fools. No competition. Anyway, we have as follows, yeah? Now let's break it down for a moment. The idea of what I'm trying to say is very simple. Is that when there's competition here, therefore comes on Shlomo Melech. And he says, Tov leches abes evil, it's better to go to a house of mourning than a house of a party. Nobody goes to a house of mourning and goes, game over. Right? Or get over your finishing. Brutality. Nobody does that. Nobody goes to the end and goes, he beat me to it. Right? It's messed up. When a person is dead, what do we say at a funeral? All of a sudden, you rarely if ever see somebody saying at a funeral something bad. It's always good. No one gets up and goes, that guy, that's a jerk. He owes me $50. Right? Nobody does that. Why? Because there's no competition anymore. When the competition is over, we can go and say, wow, Bob was a really good sculptor. If that guy died, say, yeah, he's very talented. We see the beauty. We're just stopped from saying because we're too involved with the competition. What's a house of a party? The whole thing is competition. Yo, man, there like an ice sculpture and put liquor down there. We were drinking from it. It's like, oh yeah, my party. We were sliding down the ice sculpture and drinking someone else's liquor. And it was a bat mitzvah. What's up now? The whole thing is like, right? It's always messed up. It's always about keeping up with the Moishis and keeping up with the Steinbergs and getting a little bit better. Some say the Joneses. And it's always a person is getting better and better. No, no competition. Better to go to house. That's what a party is. And we get all caught up in it. And I'll tell you very clearly, every one of us has probably had a feeling in your life unless you were very, very scarred by Alfred Hitchcock's movie The Birds, you all probably have seen birds before and thought, oh gosh, I'm sorry to bring that up. I apologize. Bird! Those things. You know, we used to do in camp, this is really mean, but in camp we used to go behind people with the yarmulke, this is, and do a... people would be like, and there were bats in camp, so like, ah! One guy had a heart attack. Okay, but the point is we have is what, unless you are in that corner, when you see a bird, we all think, like, it would be really cool to fly like a bird. You know what I mean? Just like soar through the air, But how many of us, when that bird lands, you turn to her and go, I hate you. Now, I'll tell you again, unless you're scarred. The reason why you don't do that is because it takes time. But when you come to the realization that you're not a bird, all of a sudden you can be okay with it. Why? Because you're not a bird. There's no competition. We, for some reason, think that we're all the same. We have to come to the realization, understanding that every one of us is as different from the next as we are to a bird. Part one was a concept of introspection. We got to look in our lives. Part two, if I may make up a word, unless it exists, is outrospection. And that means start looking at other people, seeing how beautiful they are, and actually saying it. You see, it's not enough just to recognize it. We have to verbalize it, and we have to be specific about it. You know when somebody goes over and says, wow, you are really great. That's another way of saying, I have nothing nice to say, so I'm going to be very general, right? And the rest of the time now, I've just messed you up, because if anyone ever comes and says you're great, you'd be like, jerk. Right? The idea is what? Is that we have to say something about it, and come to the realization, every one of us has a different mission that we have in this world. And sometimes it looks like it overlaps with somebody else, right? So that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying to get rid of competition, but there's two types of competition. Number one is, I will crush you competition, right? I'm just trying to do better than you. Number two is an external force of something which will get me to get off my rear and start working harder and raising the roof with my abilities. You get that? That means to say, if I play guitar, which I do, and someone else does also. Someone else plays guitar. So now I have something external that I'm going to now raise my roof, right? Like John, right? He's played, right? Everyone saw it. Okay, I'm not going to go into who's better now. But the idea is, when we go, he's got a 12-string note. When we go ahead and we play, so now I have to go ahead and raise my abilities. I have to raise, right? So that means I'm going to be a better person. It's not that we walk out and saying, I'm better than you. It's saying, I'm better than me. I've raised my abilities now. The difference is getting rid of I will crush you and bringing in the idea of an external force to make us better. Okay, what I want to do right now, people, I just want to do a quick recap of everything we did. And then I want to end off with point, story, point, done. Something like that. It goes as follows. So we started in the beginning, what? It's too late when we die to admit we don't see eye to eye, right? I'm telling you the situation before we go and miss the opportunity. What does it come and say? Come along, Solomon. King Solomon says, we're in Ecclesiastes 7:2. Tov lechas beis, seven lechas beis, it's better to go to house morning than to go to house of a party. Why? He says, it's the end of all worlds. It's the end of the world as we know it, but I feel fine. When a person goes out and gets realization, what happens? Why is it better to go to house in the morning? Because it's a wake-up call, right? I know that I'm going to live forever. I know I'm going to learn how to fly. Right? A person comes to realize, what? She thinks she's invincible. I might not make it. Well, we all have this mentality. We think we're going to be here. It's a wonderful life. You should have it, but we don't have this opportunity to look at the fact of life and death. We never have an opportunity to change. When, how, and how, get on key. We got to get cracking like legs. Don't demand right now. If you could write your own tombstone, what would you have written? There was a heck of a bowler, knew it. Hold this liquor. Here's Friedman, love the can. What's going to be written there, my friend? What's going to be written there is essentially however you lived your life, how they summed you up. Right? Sad story. His most beloved possession, his cell phone. Is that how we want people to do? Right? No, not dress. You're fat makes you look fat. Realize, ask the kid. They'll tell you exactly what it is. They're very honest about it. Therefore, start getting down to it. Start looking into it. Start realizing what is it. What's the idea of number one? Better to go to house and one house a party because it's introspection. We start to think a little bit about our lives. We start working on it, and maybe we start to change ourselves a little bit, or at least work and hone in that which we're already doing. Part two. Part two is the idea what happened 26 so 2 goes before 2 I'll wake up, walk out, if anyone would like to meet, right? Inspiration. The idea is what a person has to go ahead and take the opportunity of their life. If they're dead, unfortunately, don't have the opportunity. I wish you could have met such a great guy. He's incredible, he's amazing, unbelievable. Wait a minute, someone's here. And so is she, and so is him, and so is the other. Why is it that we wait until somebody's dead, almost dead, and maybe to see how beautiful they are, just staying alive? You don't mind thinking about such strict. We're dead. We are the person with the situation we don't see because we're too busy, we're involved in our own life. But the answer is why one thing is spinach, quiche, moldy, skunky competition. And when a person gets the realization that we're all different, you're not a bird, then maybe we can actually start seeing other people for what they are. I'm not saying get rid of the competition, I'm saying get rid of I will crush you, but I'm going to give an external force to lose and measure. I would love that person should absolutely get into we miss anything.
Basil.
Okay. I just want to end off with, I'm sorry, Alfred Einstein. Okay, I want to end off with one last idea is like this. You know, there's a prayer that we say once a month. We actually said it this past Shabbos, otherwise known as Shabbat, same holiday. We said the prayer goes like this. It's the prayer of the new month, because we're starting a new month this week. And every month we have this prayer. And at the end of the prayer, we say the following sentence. Chaverim kol Yisrael. V'nomar amen.
Amen.
All the Jews of France. And let us say amen. Now I remember the first time I paid attention to this, I was like, is this a hope? Is this a prayer? I don't want to be pessimistic here, but I don't know that all the Jews are friends, right? So what does that mean when it says all the Jews are friends? I looked again, and it actually is a hope in the prayer. In the times of Messiah, what will happen? Chaverim kol Yisrael, all the Jews will be friends, and let us say amen. But you know what? I thought about it a little bit more, and I realized that, you know, we really do love each other. We really do. We all love each other. We put so much junk on top of ourselves that we're not able to actually see it. I'll give you an example. What happens if you put in a room a bunch of 2-year-olds? A black kid, a white kid, a Jew, an Arab, Mexican, Asian. You put them all in a room together. What will they do? They'll play, right? Why will they play? I mean, why? Why won't they play? Of course they will. One day, the white kid goes home. The 2-year-old white kid goes home. He learned something he shouldn't have learned. He comes back the next day, and he goes to his friend. He goes, wait a minute. You're black? He goes, I tried to hide it all these years. What do you mean I'm black? You don't matter if you're black or white, right? Yeah. Oh, right? The answer is yeah. What does it make a difference? The answer is it doesn't make a difference. But we put this junk, and all of a sudden we cause these issues. I mean, what's the moral of the story? If you don't see the beauty of someone, kill them. No, if you take that out of context, I will sue. Anyway, the idea is this false, yeah? What I'm saying is this, and really I want to bring it out with this next point, story point, and then we're done. The story is that there was a religious Jew. How could you tell if someone's an observant, Orthodox religious Jew? What's a good telltale sign? Black hat. Okay, what else? Tzitzit. Payas. He walks. I'm going a little more obvious, people. Give me a little more obvious. What do you got? There you go, guys. Little hat, yeah? So this guy is driving down the road somewhere in America, and he sees on the side of the road a Jew whose car is broken down. So naturally, he stops to help him. As he's helping him, he's like looking at the car, looking at like this stuff, like the way something just strikes him off, and like there's not one thing. This guy just doesn't seem Jewish. He decides to ask him point blank, "Excuse me, are you Jewish?" So the guy goes, "Am I who?" He goes, "Well, that answered the question. Why are you wearing a yarmulke? A what? A kippah? A who? A beanie? A capo? This little hat. Why are you wearing this?" He goes, "Oh, this. My mother always told me, always keep one of these in your glove compartment. Because if you break down and you put it on, someone stops for you." Is it not true? Someone stops, and then there's 2 Jews on the side of the road, so then the 3rd one stops. And then a 4th, and before you know it, Mincha, they prepare. And then they open a Chabad, and now you know the history of Chabad, yeah? So you always wonder, like, how did it get Chabad on some broken down road in Italy connected to Hungary? The answer is, right, someone broke down. So what is it, my friends? What's the idea? The idea is that we all love each other. We all already have it. We just put this junk, and we take a step back and realize that, you know what? There's no competition. Right? Everyone has their goals. We can work together to raise the roof to the ultimate levels. Then what does that do? If we start by doing this slowly but surely, first recognizing, then speaking it out to the person specifically about what we're thinking in a positive way, that's another class of the other thing, then hopefully maybe we could change the verse in Ecclesiastes to it's better to go to a house of apart than miss a house of mourning, because we can see the beauty of people even when they're still alive. Any questions, comments, stories, jokes, attacks between verbal, non-physical? Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.